I want to go ahead and give a quick overview of ideation. Ideation is the process where we kind of start from concept to the point where we're ready to actually design and develop something. In this particular case, I want to go through a series of deliverables that are often shared with a design team, sometimes given to a client as kind of a milestone that would be signed off on before progress continued. And sometimes this is something that you would even include as kind of meta information in a portfolio to then share with a potential employer for an internship or a job that you may be seeking. I want to first go over the creative brief, followed by mind mapping, user personas, mood boards, style guides, sitemaps, wireframes, mockups, and finally storyboards. A creative brief is nothing more than a brief statement regarding who your client is, what are the project parameters, and what guidelines must be followed. It really kind of defines what you're going to be doing going forward and what the focus is of the task that you're undertaking. In this particular hypothetical example that we're looking at, we have a client named Cal who has a desire to create a web presence that will basically support or be for a community of individuals that like really hot chili peppers. And so that's where we begin. The mind mapping process is often used to help generate ideas. In this particular case, the client did not know the name of the organization, just wanted to have some kind of name that really identified or would be something that his potential clients and site users would latch onto and kind of embrace. And so we started with the word peppers, and you can see in this particular example, the word peppers made us think of other words like food and pain and hot and Mexico. And from each one of those, you can see a line that then goes out to another circle or another word. And this continues to branch, building off of each word. So you can see where pain made us think of band-aids and help and tears and death, and then death made us think of the Grim Reaper and skulls and things like that. And so this really helps to kind of make you just think a little bit outside of the box. Using the results of the mind map, we can then start to kind of thinking a lot about what we want to create from a stylistic standpoint and even a structure standpoint. Another thing we want to look at is user personas. User personas really make us give us a person to focus on, or groups of people to focus on in regards to the designs that we put together. They often will have archetypes kind of assigned to them. In this case, there is a user persona for a thrill seeker. This is somebody that really likes eating those super hot peppers and just gets a kick out of it. There's a gardener, and he really likes growing hot peppers and would love to be in the garden growing very unique varieties. And I can find out all about this particular gardener and what influences him, what motivates him. Does he own his home? Where does he live? What kind of salary does he have? What kind of devices are they using? That kind of helps me know, what kind of site I need to put together. Do I design mobile first, and should it definitely be responsive, and some other things that I may have some concern about. Here's a chef. So I've got 3 user personas, and we can easily in a conversation not necessarily refer to Patty Cook, although we could, but we'll often say, what would we do for our chef, or what would we do for our gardener? What about our thrill seeker? Are we meeting the needs of that particular individual? This is a mood board. A mood board doesn't really have to have anything to do with the subject matter that you're focusing on. So if you look at this mood board, there are a few graphics that maybe say pepper or food, but there are a lot of things such as the 7-Eleven logo, the rose, this photograph of this unusual piece of furniture, these type samples that seem inspiring to me as the designer. And that's really what this is. This is nothing more than a collection of inspirational pieces that could be used to then come up with the design or the style that you'll be using on the particular site. This is the result of taking the mood board and really embracing parts of it that we find inspiring and coming up with something called a style guide. And the style guide can be used by the design team to make sure that they're always creating consistent pages throughout the site. So in this example, I have the hexadecimal colors present. I have the image treatment available to us. I give some details about that image treatment, details about the logo, details about the type choices that we're using, including their color and size and whether they're all caps or not. This is a sitemap. Often this is called a flow diagram or a flow chart. You'll see a few other labels or names given to it, but it's essentially a sitemap, basically a representation of all the pages in your site and how they connect together. It's kind of not really thinking about design as much, but more about function and how we would navigate from point A to point B. This is a hand-sketched wireframe. And wireframes really are designed to be very basic. They're not meant to be these beautiful pieces of artwork, but typically they're done with just black and white. And I often start this way. In this particular example, you can kind of see what a home page might look like on a desktop. Here's what an internal page might look like on a desktop. And then on the right, you'll see kind of I guess a tablet or a phone presentation of this with the hamburger menu located in the top right. And then at the bottom, I'm kind of showing what I envision that hamburger menu looking like when somebody clicks on it to then access the menu itself. This is where I start, but this isn't what I would show the client. I would take the client something a little bit more refined. In this example, or on this particular page, I'm showing you what a template looks like, and you'll have access to this template. It's a 12-column template that helps me to create a responsive website. And so it's done in Illustrator, and it's set up with artboards, and you can access any one of these artboards and basically build your wireframe on top of it. Here's what that looks like. This is a wireframe similar to what I would show a client. I just happen to have all three of them on the same page, and I'll show these separate here in a moment. But you can see there's nothing, there's no color, there's no images, there's nothing really fancy going on here. This is more or less just a presentation of the layout, the placement of content, not necessarily what it's going to look like. You can see here's for the desktop on the home page. This is what it would look like on a tablet. Here's what it would look like on a mobile phone. Here's an internal page also for the desktop. So often when you're showing this to a client, you're going to have more than one wireframe. So in this case, I would show the client the tablet layout for, in this case, an internal page, but I would also show them the home page. I might even show them 2 or 3 internal pages if it seems like it's appropriate to do so. You don't have to do one for every page normally, but you should do one when there's a distinct difference between the layouts used in the site. Here's one for the mobile device itself. That then goes one step further. This is actually a mock-up. This is a mock-up of the desktop itself, the desktop layout. This is the home page. This is what it would look like on the tablet. This is what it would look like on the phone itself. This is what an internal page might look like on the desktop. Here's an internal page on the tablet, and here's an internal page on the phone itself. These are things that I would sometimes show the client, and there is a way to make these look even better, and we'll visit that at the very end of this presentation in the form of a photorealistic mock-up. So what you're seeing here is sometimes used when a client requests something like a banner ad, and this is a template for a vertical storyboard. And a storyboard basically is going to show us frame by frame what an animation might look like. Here's one for more of a card layout. This is a horizontal banner, and this is what it would look like if I was to print off that horizontal banner and then to take that and design a banner ad. So in this banner ad, I basically have a fuse like a stick of dynamite might have, but I have it leading into a pepper. That pepper is going to explode. It's going to leave nothing but ash and stuff, and things are going to fall from the sky. And you'll see that here's the skull shape that's part of the logo that you'll then see on the website. Some text is going to slide in, and somebody will then click that and hopefully come to the site and kind of join that community. To kind of wrap things up, I thought it'd be neat to see some of these photorealistic mock-ups. These are available at a number of different websites. You can download many of them for free, or if you're willing to pay quite a bit, you can pay for some pretty fancy ones. And these are all the free ones. These are pretty basic. So they're designed usually in Photoshop, and you will have normally a layer in your Photoshop that you will swap out whatever the template comes with and drop your graphic into that place. And so these three first ones are pretty rudimentary. They're not super fancy. I've got some of the other ones that I've included are a little bit fancier. This one looks really clean for the laptop itself. And the last one that I put in here just kind of shows a little bit of everything going on. And you'll occasionally bump into these where it looks like somebody's desk, and you've got the mobile, the tablet, and the desktop all presented for your client or customer to evaluate. So this is often what I will show people, and if I was to showcase this in a portfolio and I didn't necessarily want um, to show them something that was very flat, instead I want to kind of make it look like it's being utilized, I would probably use one of these photorealistic mock-ups to show that to anybody that wants to look at it. I hope this gives you some idea of how you could potentially, through a number of different deliverables, really formulate your ideas before you finally start developing it. Nothing that you've seen here is a functional website. Everything is about conveying what you want that website to look like and the journey of how we get to that point. And this is a wonderful opportunity to talk to the client and really make those final decisions on whether we're good to move forward, or do we need to make some changes before we've invested too much energy into that project.